Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Forgotten Reviews with the Forgotten Reviewers. It is Hassan and myself. I am Dan. We are here to review Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. If you have already seen it, or if you have not already seen it, Dylan, Sal, and Benny all reviewed this themselves. We didn't want to make a review show with 5 people for very obvious reasons, because it's already hard enough to get 3, and then adding 4th is really ridiculous. 5, I don't think I would talk a single time because I rarely interrupt anyone. I just wait till I get my moment, and I tend to forget what I was going to say. But this one, both Hassan and myself really wanted to talk about it. We both have a lot of opinions, and so we are going to go ahead and jump on in. This is a big spoiler warning. We are going to spoil everything. We are going to spoil this reveal. We're going to spoil that reveal. We're going to spoil literally everything, because that is really the only way that we are capable to give you a good enough review that is easy for us to say without feeling like we got to censor ourselves. So this is the final spoiler warning before we jump on in. If there are any comments in the comment section that are about spoilers, then you don't listen to the first full minute and a half of an episode. And if that's the case, you spoil yourself and you're the spoilers. And here's spoil and spoilers in more words than I could say with spoilers.
Also, it's for Doctor Strange, but also spoilers for WandaVision. If you haven't seen that in a year.
Yes.
If this is the direct sequel to WandaVision, so keep that in mind, guys.
Yes, the multiverse of spoilers, spoilerverse of madness, the Doctor spoiler and multiverse of spoilers.
Yes.
All right. Now that we've gotten that out of the way, we're not going to give a summary of the movie. Actually, here's the quick one. Wanda, America Chavez shows up. Doctor Strange like, hey, girl, what you doing here? She's like, hey, evil version of you tried to kill me. I don't know if I can trust you. And he's like, no, you can definitely trust me. I'm not that guy, even though I don't fully believe that that guy exists. And then he's like, all right, you're going to go over here. And then it concludes.
Wow. What a way to get all that out there.
And the best part, all accurate.
It was all very, very accurate.
I figured if I tried to go too much into actual words and sentences, it would take too long, and that's the better way of
that was the way to do it. So my initial thoughts on the movie as a whole.
Yes.
I liked it. I did not love it. I loved pieces of it. I loved Elizabeth Olsen as an actress is putting on her best performance. She is phenomenal. Sam Raimi as a director. It felt like I was watching a brand new Spider-Man from 2001 movie, but like in the best way. It felt campy in a way that I think you could only do that kind of camp with an actress like Elizabeth Olsen, who has this incredible range, and in a movie like Doctor Strange. So it was a match made in heaven, and I loved all of that. I think the story is a sore spot for me. I didn't like the resolution. It felt like we built up a huge situation and then kind of undercut it with a very anticlimactic Wanda's dead and camera pans up kind of ending.
Oh,
and
maybe. My
only other gripe with it, which another positive that I really, really loved about it, oh my God, some of the CGI is wonky, fine, whatever. It's beautiful. Yes. It is so beautiful. For people who are putting CGI on a con list, you're crazy. The CGI is a pro of this movie. The cons, every couple scenes, there's like, oh, that looks kind of odd. But good Lord, horror? I'm so scared of Elizabeth Olsen. Like, I'm terrified of her, and I should be. That one scene where the blast door closes, and they're expecting her to rip through it, and then she just, like, appears. Incredible. Fear-inducing, and I think she did a beautiful job with that performance. But going into a negative, a thing that I did not love, this movie has been marketed for 3 years as this multiversal event, that it is a multiverse of madness, and this is fan expectation. So I'm not going to say that this is on the directors or, hey, you guys fucked up. I thought this was going to be a buddy cop exploration through the multiverse with an antagonist tailing them, or them tailing an antagonist. I thought we were going to see a lot of different versions of characters we've seen. I thought we were going to bring back a lot of actors. I wasn't one of the people that are campaigning for a big fucking splash page of Edward Norton's Hulk and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, all that, but I thought it would be fun to dance around in the multiverse a little bit, and it ended up just being basically only one other fully realized world that we go to. And they do a good job of explaining it at the end of the movie, where America Chavez's powers were working and she was taking them where they needed to go. Those are my gripes. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. And I thought the Illuminati was awesome. I have no issues with the Illuminati scene. People are bitching, screaming, crying, and moaning about that. Wanda is the most powerful character, and that has never been a question in my mind ever. Mm-hmm. So her absolutely beating the shit out of everyone, and then they're like, Reed Richards is so stupid. He told him that we told Wanda, Black Bolt can destroy you with his words. No, he wasn't trying to defeat her. He was trying to talk her down. And that definitely was the best way to talk her down. And just like, he can do this, but Wanda, we don't want to do this. It was fine. Like that was fine. And I thought John Krasinski was really cool as Reed Richards. I thought it was awesome. They brought back the guy who played Black Bolt in the disgraced Inhumans movie.
TV show.
TV show, sorry. TV movie though, right? Wasn't it?
Intended? I think it was a TV show.
Didn't it air in the theaters though? Like it had like an IMAX screening, and then
if
it
did,
TV?
I wasn't aware of that, because for the most part, I just remembered that it existed. I didn't watch it. I didn't care too much about it, but yeah. I'm pretty sure it was a show. But,
the rest of the Illuminati, Maria Rambeau, I don't care, respectfully. Captain Carter though, hello Peggy. Oh my God, she's amazing. Her hair in those scenes, impeccable. I don't know who's working in that hair department, but applause to you. You made Haley Atwell, who's already one of the most stunning human beings in the MCU, even more stunning and just absolutely badass. So I love that we got to see her in live action, and I hope that we get another version of Captain Carter down the road. I think Haley Atwell is a great actress, and it would be awesome to kind of have our own Captain back into the fold of the cinematic universes in her. That'd be so cool to bring her into modern day, into our Earth. And Patrick Stewart was cool. It was awesome to see him. The 90s X-Men music playing while he was rolling up in his hover chair was really, really sick. And getting to see, the X-Men, like him and Wanda together is a really, really special moment. Ian McKellen tweeted out last night, and he said, oh my God, it was a funny tweet. It's only funny when you think about it in the modern day context, but when you realize it's Ian McKellen, he's just a sweet old man and he didn't mean anything by it. It's just nice, but I'm going to... Ian McKellen, he tweeted out, if I had a daughter, I hope she'd be like Elizabeth. A treat to be her daddy. So, very cute old man thing to say. But yeah, Ian, you can't say that, buddy.
No, he can't. Let's be honest. Of all people to be able to say
he
it,
can say
he can say it. I mean,
he can say it. But yeah, I loved so much of it. I wish it was more. We were in the multiverse more because of the billing of the movie. But what we got was good. Wanda as a serial killer murder was really hard for me to watch, but I think it was good. I think that as a fan, it broke my heart to see her. I think someone tweeted out the other day, and they were like, Wanda was really going through so much. Can you imagine someone going through as much as her? I totally get it. And I was like, yeah. Someone said, yeah, I can't imagine it. The families of all the people she fucking killed. I lost that. So, yeah, it was I think the humor worked for when the humor was present in it. I thought America Chavez, for such a young actress, I mean, she just turned 16 the other day.
Oh, wow.
So she getting to be in this big of a movie, I think she stood on her own 2 feet a lot better than Billy and Tommy did. That's for sure. But they're like kids, but they're kids in the way they act. Elizabeth Olsen, a beautiful performance, and I hope to see her again in the MCU.
All right. Out of 10,
thoughts?
out of 10, what's your rating? Just for
6.5 out of 10.
All right. So my opinion of it, I really enjoyed it. I did as well. That obviously it did have its downsides. It did have its upsides. I understand everyone's complaints with the whole multiverse of madness not having much multiverse in it. I personally feel like it had the perfect amount of multiverse in it. I feel like what everyone wanted with the whole multiple versions and all of that was perfectly encapsulated, portrayed in the Illuminati universe. I feel like that was the perfect way to give you multiple different versions, gives you that fan cast that everyone wanted, with John Krasinski as Reed Richards. I felt like that was done perfectly. I really enjoyed Wanda. I loved that. Yes, she starts off a little more evil than I know some people intended, but obviously that came from everything that happened in WandaVision. She has slowly started her descent into madness. And I loved that throughout this movie, you really saw the evolution of her going darker and darker. Because it starts off with her being very light about it, of just like, this was me being easy on you. Like, I sent a creature that was going to just grab her and come back to me. Like, I am giving you these warnings, and then goes into, I'm just going to find you and kill you, and I'm going to make it creepy as nobody's business. And I thought that was very, very well done. I really enjoyed that. I thought Doctor Strange had a good evolution throughout the episode, throughout the movie, of basically kind of having his mind opened, having his mind really open to, this is how I knew things. I knew it as very strict, very like this, very surgeon of, this is how science works. This is how I perceive magic to work. And then seeing all these different things of like, oh, another version of me did that same thing, but went slightly different about it. And it was interesting to see that correlation, as well as the accepting of that. The accepting of, sometimes you do have to go down the dark route for the greater good. And it's just a question of, how far down that road do you go before you do officially cross the line? And so I really, really liked that. Overall, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10 because, yeah, there were parts that were very There were parts that were amazing. I felt like the ending where he dream walks into his alternate universe's corpse. I thought it was very interesting because the wings and all the spirits looked amazing, but his body and everything looked overly fake and overly like.
I loved it.
I thought it was kind of
so
like
campy.
Wait, what are you doing here?
For me, I think it's just because I was expecting, it's Sam Raimi, right? So like when I'm thinking of Sam Raimi, I'm thinking camp and horror, and that was the most campy horror we possibly could have gotten, you know.
That's fair.
But I see your criticism. I think that's fair.
I guess it's more of, not so much that it was bad. I guess it was more of the drastic difference between the wings, the spirits, and all of that, of how insanely CG and great that looked, versus the more kind of fakeish looking corpse that was very stiff, and you could tell it was practical effects. And I think it's that contrast that might have made it a little more obvious to me. But I do want to say with the multiverse, so everyone goes into, this is the argument I've been hearing from everyone. They wanted insane amount of multiverses. They wanted them to go over here. They wanted to get the fun spots over here, the fun spots over here, this bit over here. Multiple different multiverses. First up, we get to see the original universe she comes from, the main universe, a bunch of those different ones as they go through, the super fancy universe. We've got the Illuminati one, and then we've got them basically the multiverse within the multiverse, like the in-between space that they do go to.
Was the super fancy Earth, wasn't that the Illuminati?
Was that the Illuminati one? Okay. I guess it was a little bit more drastic of the outside versus in the Illuminati. Like, it's such a very drastic difference that in my head I might have confused that a little bit. But I feel like if they had gone through too many multiverses, you water down that it's a Doctor Strange movie. It's not Multiverse of Madness, Doctor Strange. It is Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And you can't undercut Doctor Strange in his own movie just to get these mentions and these fun moments in the different multiverses, because it's also the average viewer doesn't know all these different universes. Those small little Easter eggs of the different like versions of characters, they don't really matter as much to the everyday just MCU fans, not the comic book fans that have seen all these different ones. And I feel like the Illuminati was perfect because you did essentially get those multiverses. You got the multiverse where Charles Xavier, those X-Men exist. You get the What If universe with the Peggy Carter. You get the TV show universe with the Inhumans. You get the Captain Marvel in the past universe with Maria Rambeau, Monica Rambeau's mother as Captain Marvel. You get an interesting universe that we've never seen before with John Krasinski as Reed Richards. And I felt like that was the perfect way to really mix them all together in a great way. And then we also got the universe where the incursion happened, and we could see basically the end of the world and what happens when that happens. And I think that was very well done. And because the other thing was, I did read an interview with, I believe it was the writer, and they had two directions they could go with the movie. They could go with Wanda starts off as the villain, or Wanda works with Doctor Strange and at the end turns into the villain. But the thing that made that big and why I'm mentioning it is because they went with the direction that they did, because if they have Wanda as a good guy, they have to water her down because it's a Doctor Strange movie. You can't have a side character being more powerful and more interesting than your main character. And I feel like that's why the multiverse really, really worked for me. I feel like there was a little bit more gruesome violence than a lot of the audience was expecting, especially with the Wanda completely decimating the Illuminati, like Black Bolt's head imploding, Peggy Carter
people
getting
being burned
sliced
alive
in
in
half, like, stuff like that. Like, I felt like it was definitely on that line of PG-13 versus R in terms of gore, violence, and horror. So I do understand why some people complained about that, but I thought they did just a great example, because that was the ultimate turning point in my opinion, to really show Wanda's going to kill anyone she needs to. Wanda has reached that point that she will do whatever because she's not seeing it as that situation. She's seeing it as, just get aside. I need my kids. Just move aside.
I just thought of something that I wanted to ask you.
Yes, let's hear it. Sorry, I've talked a good amount.
No,
so
you're good. You're doing great. No, I'm very interested in everything you're saying. What you were saying reminded me. You know what? A huge part of this movie that did not make any sense to me in theaters.
What's that?
Vision is not in it at all. There's no mention of Vision.
They mention him once. They do mention, because she goes something about Viz. They do mention that. Yes,
but they don't. But he's not in the other universe. Like, it feels insane. Like, who's Billy and Tommy's dad? What was the implication there? I was really lost on that, because, like, I'm not saying Paul Bettany need to be a main character. I'm not saying that at all. Mm-hmm. But Vision should have been in this story. Like, why is she only searching for her kids and not also her husband?
So I think it's another one of the, you don't want to water it down with too many aspects. And I feel like searching for her kids, I think it's honestly, she has accepted that Vision's dead and her kids are the future, and that's kind of, the kids are the thing that she never got. Like, that's what she truly, truly wanted and never got. And I feel like it also it honestly raises some questions that they don't want to answer. He is a synthetic person. How are they going to explain the fact that they do have human children? Like, it's very easy to kind of go, you know what, let's just go with the kids. Let's stick to this, because, like I said, things that we want, water it down. If you add too much, you water down the implication of her kids, because then you go, okay, well, if she goes into Wanda's body, her kids are too easy to just go, oh, our mom's slightly changed. Vision's going to see more into that. And now you're going to have a good probably 15 to Like probably 10 to 15 minutes minimum of Vision being like, you are not my wife. You are not the Wanda. I'm going to try and talk you down. And then in that aspect, the only way she's going to get through that would be to kill Vision again.
I seriously think that would have been awesome. Like this version of Wanda specifically to show like the further corruption of the Darkhold, she just destroys Vision. Just immediately. Like I don't think it takes a long time. I think immediately they know that they're different. And then they like walk off to another room or whatever.
But
and
that would completely undermine everything in WandaVision. Because the entire show of WandaVision was she does not want to let Vision go. She wants to resurrect him and bring him back. And I think in WandaVision, she accepted that he's not gone, or that he is gone, that he died. Whereas her kids, she sees as this thing she never got that she lost unfairly. Like, I think it's a aspect of she lost she was basically cheated out of her kids. Whereas Vision sacrificed himself and she had to accept the fact that he sacrificed himself for the greater good. And the happiness that she was supposed to get out of that were the kids, and she was cheated of that. And that in all these other universes, that's the thing that they got that she didn't. And I think that that's a big aspect of that. And I truly think a lot of these would have been cool. I think they would have been fun. I think they would have been great scenes. I think if maybe we got a director's cut, maybe it would be cooler there. But I think it waters it down and adds too many different things that you've got to explain. And it adds too much to a character that it's not her movie. Like
I guess that's fair. In my brain, I'm usually thinking of her as the title character. I think it's Wanda in the Multiverse of Madness.
Exactly. And that's
Doctor Strange for me was fine. And Benedict Cumberbatch gave a good performance, but I've never been interested in him. Like not never, but he's nothing compared to Wanda.
And I think that's a point of view that is sullying this movie for a lot of people. Is they don't necessarily. They want it to be a multiverse movie. They don't want it to be a Doctor Strange movie. And it's hard to accept. Wanda got her show. She had her moment in the spotlight. This is Doctor Strange's time. You don't really need to go too much into him. Like if you think of all the other movies where we go into the villain, you don't see all those different things about the villains as much. The only one which kind of got over the top was Civil War, and that's because they did have so many big name characters. But at the end of the day, you didn't go too much into a lot of the other heroes because it wasn't technically Civil War. It was Captain America Civil War.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing to keep in mind is that this was a Doctor Strange movie, and you can't take away from the title character just to give these moments that would be cool, that would be fun, but aren't necessarily needed.
Do you think that Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness would have functioned better as a limited TV show? 7 or 8 episodes, 6 or 7 episodes?
Yes. 100%. I think this as a show would have worked a lot better because then each episode could be a different multiverse and would give fans what they wanted out of those different multiverses, because you can do an hour-long episode in this different multiverse, then give it a reason for them to go to another universe. Give them a reason to swap over. And I think if anything, WandaVision could have been the movie and this could have been the show.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think WandaVision functioned well as a show at first, and then it just kind of lost its legs towards the end.
Yeah.
So I would have loved to see that show outside of, COVID restrictions and how, because there were lots of things that got cut, lots of actors couldn't make it back. So that show's had its problems, but I do think Doctor Strange it's a movie character and Benedict Cumberbatch is a movie actor, but we're showing time and time again the TV is the medium, and had they had identical budgets, if not a bigger budget, I think it would have functioned way, way better as a TV show.
Yeah.
I was thinking that while I was watching it. It felt like too much. They were cramming too much into what would have been the equivalent of like 4 hours of 30-minute television. Like it should have. That felt like 2 episodes, and we should have gotten 6.
Yeah,
it's a big concept,
and see
and they need to move
that
through it.
statement right there is why I say that you can't add all those other things. Is because what you said, they're cramming a lot into a movie. Mm-hmm. I think what you're saying, it definitely should have. I think it would have done much better as a show.
Has outgrown its model. I think that like the MCU, the way that it built itself, it has outgrown movies. Not holistically. I think Endgame and Infinity War are still like meant to be movies, like very like really centered dynamic plots. But when we're exploring the greater universe of the Marvel thing, I think it always should be in television format. So exploring the multiverse as a concept, introduce it in a TV series like Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, the show, I think would have been much cleaner, given us more time to digest such a large thing. But then there are moments like Spider-Man No Way Home is perfect as a movie.
Oh, definitely.
I don't think it should be a TV show. So there are a lot of there are a lot of asterisks to it, but I do think that like they need to recognize when something should be a movie and when it should be a TV show. Because I'm excited about the Miss Marvel TV series. And I've seen nothing of it yet outside of the trailers. I feel like that is going to be something that functioned probably better as a movie than it would as a TV show. Mm-hmm. But we'll see. And I have some specific reasons as to why I think that. But it'll be interesting to see how it all pays off. Everyone's been complaining that the MCU feels more disconnected than ever. Mm-hmm. I think that's good. I think it's good to spread out and build out. That way, when you do a Secret Wars, it's not just about all the heroes sitting in New York. It's about the entire world and the universe that you have built it, because an incursion affects a universe, not just one planet. Yeah. So it'll be. I'm excited about it, and I think that the MCU's it's been going in a really good direction. Somebody, his name's Jay Parker Kennedy or something like that. He's a TikToker. He posted a whole thing where he's like, if you don't like Wanda or Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, was it 1, because you didn't like a woman being so powerful? Was it 2, because you didn't like this because it was all in Spider-Man No Way Home, but you had to have an issue with Elizabeth Olsen being too powerful? Mm-hmm. He just like chalked it up to being like a very like sexist point of view. I think Elizabeth Olsen is the titular character of this movie. Wanda is the main character, and Wanda is the best, most well-written, most robust character in this. She's the best actress in the whole thing, best actor in general across the whole movie. So I'm very... I don't like these movies. It's not because of that. And my enjoyment of Spider-Man No Way Home, which was a multiversal story as well, it's because it's an entirely different film with different themes. And I think it wraps its story better. I think it has more... It did a better job of closing a full narrative circle, when I think WandaVision or Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness kind of ended on a note of there's like a 4th act waiting to happen. Right. That's what it felt like for me. So that's my take on that.
So I've been seeing a lot of people in chat say this, because we do stream these reviews and stuff on twitch.tv/comicstorian. Check it out. A lot of people have mixed feelings about the Christine stuff, and I want to get your opinion on that, because a lot of people are like, oh, it was weird, it felt forced, and I would like to hear your opinion.
Rachel McAdams is good. She's good as an actress. She was good as Earth 836 Christine. I didn't have an issue with it. I don't think it was hack me. She also like fought a little bit, and it was pretty reasonable to assume that she was going to win some of the fights she was in. I was fine with it. I don't know why people complained about it as much as they did. They were really aggressive that she didn't need to be in the movie. And I think that they're saying that because at the end we get introduced to Clea, which I'm now learning after watching this movie that she's Doctor Strange's main love interest in the comics and how important of a character she is. Mm-hmm. And they're like, why would we do all this Christine stuff just to undercut it to give him Clea at the end? And I was like, no, I think if you need to give a guy, like give Strange some character development, she's a good avenue for it, to showcase like what he's lost. I don't have any issue with it. I thought Rachel McAdams put on a really good performance. I think her and Benedict Cumberbatch have real chemistry. I think they do. You could like feel on screen that, maybe they could be together. But
okay, I'm actually really glad to hear that, because every time I hear someone talking about that, I don't know why everyone has a complaint, because if you watch any different What If or any different multiverse thing, there's always the counterparts, and you need to put that counterpart of Christine in because that is the most relatable thing for this Doctor Strange. If you throw Clea in, the audience and Doctor Strange, they don't have anything. They would have to build off of nothing, whereas we already have everything that they did build off of Christine, and they needed to put that in. I think it was big.
I think everyone's like, why don't we put Clea in the beginning? Well, first of all, think of Clea as not a part of that movie. She's a tagline. Yeah. She's a bumper sticker. She's a trailer for the next thing. So it's awesome she was in it, but you'd have to introduce Clea, create Clea's importance, and then make it part of this narrative too. No, because we were telling Wanda's story. We were telling Doctor Strange stopping a multiversal being and introducing America Chavez. So like, you know, let's just dial it back. I know there's a lot of frustration about it. I don't think Christine Palmer or Rachel McAdams' performance were any of the downside of this movie. I think the downside of this movie are clear when you watch the movie, and it doesn't have anything to do with them. So that's my take. And everyone's like, well, her uncle is Dormammu. She's going to be doing stuff. Clea's obviously now in the MCU. They casted fucking Charlize Theron. Like, they're not going to do something great with it. It wasn't this movie. It just wasn't about it.
And there's too much behind Clea for them to do. They had to go through America Chavez's entire history to explain Clea. If you know anything about her, it is way more complicated and would take so much more time of this movie that they did not have to give.
Absolutely. And you know, we'll see how it all plays out. Just remember that Thanos was introduced as the tagline of Avengers 10 years ago, and I'm sure there were people back then that were like, why wasn't he the villain of this movie then? Because they were building to something greater. So don't bitch about it. Trust in the MCU. I have endless faith in this team, in this creative team, and Kevin Feige and all of them in their vision. There are always going to be sore spots. I thought Captain Marvel was an atrocious movie. Not Brie Larson as an actress. I think she was given bad material, but a character with no charisma and unenjoyable. But that's probably the last time I went into an MCU project and like didn't enjoy at least a piece of it. I think Black Widow was also a lackluster film, but not because the actors weren't great, not because it didn't have great moments, but because it had like a little sore spot. I have yet to go into an MCU movie and been like, this is fucking bad. I haven't done that in years, you know. So just have faith, relax. You didn't get the movie you wanted to. I wasn't happy that we didn't get the Multiverse of Madness I wanted, but do I think that I'll get it eventually? Oh yeah, it's called Secret Wars.
Right.
What I want is Secret Wars, and I will get it eventually, and it'll probably be directed by the Russos again. Like that I can't wait for. So just chill out, guys. It's fine. Don't get too aggressive. And all of us, everyone is welcome to have their own opinions. I read the comments of the last review. You guys went all ape shit for no reason. People are allowed to not like things, and people are allowed to love things. So let's roll with it. And you guys have your opinions, and no one can say anything that is going to downplay the validity of your own experience. Yeah. So you have a right to hate Christine, just like I have a right to defend Christine.
Exactly.
So that's. I feel like we've gone 30.
I want to before we finish. I actually do want to have, and it's just one small thing. And yes, for the record, I'm aware that the people in the comments are going to hate the fact of most of what I said. I'm not going to read them. It doesn't matter. Do you think Scarlet Witch is dead?
Oh.
I want to hear your thoughts because I have some thoughts, and I want to hear yours.
I don't know how she's not dead, but she's not dead. I don't think that they're gonna. They will not unceremoniously kill a lead actress in not their own project. If Wanda needed to die, Wanda would die in her own film. Also, Vision is alive now. We have White Vision that exists. So like to not have the payoff of that would be criminal. That said, we did get another version of Wanda, so they could very well bait and switch us and give us 8/3/8 Wanda.
Right.
You know, which. Fine by me. I actually, for a while, thought she was a version of Wanda without powers, like throughout the whole thing. I
actually did too for a little bit there,
and because she doesn't really do or say anything that makes me think that she had powers up until the end, where she like flies up Wanda style.
I mean, in theory, nothing says that she does. Wanda, when dreamwalking, could be bringing her powers with her.
Yeah, I thought maybe Wanda activated her powers.
Or that,
like they were latent. Because she ends up using it on her own without the dream walking. She used it to like float out of the wherever magic book realm to go back into her world to save her Billy and Tommy. We'll see. We'll have to see. Dan, how do you feel about it? Are you
she's
thinking
not
she's
dead. I
living?
don't think she is. I think when they did that explosion of the like her powers and everything, I think they're going to use that on her next project. That was her probably like breaking through the multiverse, exploding and teleporting somewhere else, because they've made it very clear that like her powers stemmed from emotional trauma near a bomb that landed in her apartment when she was a kid. That's where her powers manifested. I think it's going to be one of those self-defense mechanisms, and that was what they're going to use in whatever they do. But I do not think she's dead. I just wanted to hear what you thought of that, because I have seen some people be like, "Oh, that's such a lame way to kill her off." I'm like,
I just thought of, you mentioned the bomb, so I thought of Stark Industries. Did you think it was weird Tony Stark isn't even mentioned?
Yes. Okay. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was actually pretty bummed that he was not even, like, you don't need Robert Downey Jr.
I don't need fucking Tom Cruise or Robert Downey Jr. Iron Man. I don't need that.
Just mention him.
To have the fucking Ultron protocol and in Earth 838, Reed Richards, the smartest man in the universe, how is he not saying that, you know, not long ago we had Tony Stark here with us, and him and I helped do this, and this, and without him we're at a loss, but we're still more than powerful enough to handle Wanda.
Like,
okay, easy, slam dunk, one sentence.
Yeah, I feel like honestly the reason why they brought Fantastic Four and Reed Richards in was to replace Stark Foundations and everything with Baxter Foundations, replace Iron Man with Reed Richards, because we do know that we're going to be getting a Fantastic Four movie, and we do know that Robert Downey Jr. is done with Iron Man, and I think this was their way of going, let's give an excuse for this takeover and this one. But yeah, I was very bummed that they did not reference
it. Didn't feel right. It didn't make any sense. You can't create the Ultron protocol and have it working like fine, not have. I don't need Tony on screen. I do need him to be mentioned and remembered. It makes me more angry than when characters receive development at the loss of another character and then they're never mentioned again. They're unceremoniously taken. This is a terrible example of it, but in the show Smallville, way back in season 1 and 2, they introduced this love interest for Clark. Her name's Alicia. She's a metahuman who ends up going kind of crazy and like attacking some people, but then she has a redemption episode and an arc, and her and Clark get together. And then she's murdered. She dies. Spoiler for a show that is 2 decades old. She's murdered. Clark never mentions her again.
Yeah.
The love of his life, he held her in her arms because he didn't believe that she was telling the truth, and then she got killed because of it. They never touch it again. So if we're about to have the MCU not continue to reference Tony's death going forward, that's a problem. I don't need them to harp on it. I don't need it to be a key plot point, but I do need it to be brought up. Where is Tony Stark?
And if they weren't going to mention him in regards to the Ultron, at least mention Hank Pym, because in the comics it is Hank Pym that creates Ultron. Like it is entire, and so it's like at least mention him. At least give the excuse of why you're not mentioning Tony. But yeah, I was also very bummed.
Exactly, because it got under my skin. I remember watching it and just being like, okay, Tony. Did the writer actually try to ask Kevin Feige if they could try and get Tom Cruise to film thing afterwards, but he didn't end up getting.
Well, he was filming back-to-back Mission Impossible, so the availability wasn't there.
Yeah, who the fuck watches Mission Impossible? That's not what this is about.
Anyway, I feel like we've covered everything. Before I close out, any final thoughts? Any last things you want to say?
This movie did a great job at showcasing Sam Raimi's continued ability to be an amazing director if given agency. He has not directed a movie since 2013 before this one.
Oh, wow.
So he literally, a 9-year break. It's been that long since he's done anything. Damn. And they trusted him. He was worried that he could do it. Kevin Feige gave him more resources than he even needed. And once you give a director with a clear vision in mind what he wants to do, he'll make something amazing of it. Say what you want about the writing, because I think the writers and the directors is all very different things, and say what you want about where the story ended and how we got there. I think that this was all around a great movie, and it's one that I will watch again because, you know, it was the first introduction of the multiverse. We got to see the John Krasinski fan art in real life. Yeah. Are you kidding? Come on. So those are my final takeaways, my final thoughts. But you guys tell me your thoughts in the comments below, not just your opinions on what we said, but your own opinions, your own little mini reviews. And Dan, what are your final thoughts on that?
My final thoughts, I think it was a great Doctor Strange movie. I think people wanted too much of a multiverse movie or a Scarlet Witch movie, but based on the fact that it was a Doctor Strange movie, I thought it was great. But anyway, I do, and then also my last one, it would have done so much better as a show. But that being said, thank you guys so much for listening and watching today. This has been your absolutely Marvel and DC Forgotten Review with the Forgotten Reviewers, Hassan and myself. Thank you guys so much. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell for the notifications, all the good stuff, and we will catch you all next time. Oh! And let us know if you want us to do these additional reviews on future things as well, for when we do have everyone that has watched it and we can't fit everyone on a single review. So do let us know about that. And if you still complain about spoilers and you got this far to hear me say that you can complain about something, you're an idiot. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.